Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special show today for you. As promised yesterday, we have an interview with some eyewitnesses to history, Tony and Sherry McKnight, good friends of mine, and I'll let them tell you more about themselves in just a moment. But they went with a couple of other people to Washington, D.C. for the January 6th rally with Trump and supporting the president. And of course, they were up there when all kind of things have broken loose, and certainly things are breaking loose as we speak. So we're going to get their perspective on what happened there. But before we go any further, I always have to mention our sponsor. And you're looking at our sponsor here, the McKnights. They are the principals behind Big Daddy Unlimited. Tony is Big Daddy, and I call Sherry my friend Sherry with an E, but they are the principals behind Big Daddy Unlimited, and they're our sponsor. In order to find our sponsor, all you got to do is look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching it, scroll down on it, and you will see a link to Big Daddy Unlimited. They literally are your Second Amendment headquarters. I call them that because not only can you get guns and ammunition. Yeah, I said guns and ammunition delivered directly to your door at factory direct pricing, but there are literally thousands of other items, including tactical gear, swag, and they are your Second Amendment headquarters because on a daily and growing basis, they are defending your Second Amendment rights, which if you've been following what's happening and sadly what is about to happen in about 2 weeks, and as I said yesterday, it does me no great joy to tell you that it looks like Donald Trump is not going to win this fight, and that God help us, if I've been saying Joe Biden is going to become the next president of the United States, then you are going to need to protect, defend, and use your Second Amendment like never before. So check out Big Daddy Unlimited. Also, we have a sponsor, patriotthreads.org. They're apparel with a purpose. Go to patriotthreads.org. Remember the promo code JMT, John Martin Talks, and you get 20% off. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. And we continue to tell you how excited we are to be on Recoil TV. We're on 2 different YouTube channels now. We got John Martin Talks, spell it all the way out. You can watch us live on there. Howdy, how you guys doing? But we're also rebroadcast on the Recoil TV on YouTube, and they are literally the go-to place for Second Amendment information. If you want to know anything about the latest products that are coming out, guns, ammunition, tactical gear, go there and they will definitely tell you all about it. And we have our own channel on there, and our show is archived on there. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you, or let them introduce themselves, to the McKnights. Tony, as I say, Big Daddy, Tony McKnight, and Sherry with the E. And I, first of all, I just want to tell you, I'm glad you guys are home safe, because it was a bit touch and go up there. So if you would, just briefly tell the people a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get into your experience this week.
Hi, I'm Sherry, and this is Big Daddy. He'll start.
Oh, I'm starting?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Tony, and together with my wife, Sherry, we started Big Daddy Unlimited back in March of 2018. And over this last year, we've seen a huge increase in popularity of actually guns and ammunition. And so part of our mission at Big Daddy Unlimited is to protect and defend the Second Amendment. Unlike a lot of people that are out there, we basically put our money where our mouth is. And we're very passionate about protecting our Second Amendment rights. And part of that was us going to Washington, D.C. yesterday, not only to support the current president of the United States and the gentleman we think has done a fantastic job for us as citizens, but also to support the fact that, you know, the Second Amendment is under attack. And like we share with everybody, the problem is if we lose the Second Amendment, we lose all the amendments, because it's there to protect the First Amendment and all the rest of the amendments. And it's a very, very important amendment. And the great thing about the Second Amendment is it's a very simple amendment, and it's around a few words. And those words are shall not be infringed. Pretty simple. And so we're out there daily in the fight, pushing back against the people in government who are continuously looking for ways to erode our Second Amendment rights. Unfortunately, a lot of people are misinformed that the Second Amendment is about hunting, and that is not what the Founding Fathers had in mind when they put the Second Amendment as the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment was put in there to protect us from an overreaching government, a tyrannical government, if you'd like. And some people might say we're kind of in a situation like that today. And so we're here to say, hey, we were there yesterday to see firsthand and to live firsthand and to watch what went on and participate with what went on.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Well, a couple things that I could say that are interesting. Without the Second Amendment, we don't really have any other amendments, but it's interesting because when we were marching actually to the Capitol yesterday, we looked on a building that was to the left of me, and it had the First Amendment blasted right on the building, in stone. And we remarked, someone that I was with, Sally, and I, we looked at it and said, look, we are here in Washington, D.C. The First Amendment is plastered on this giant building right close to the Capitol, and it's our First Amendment, and that is no longer observed, and they're driving past this every day. Forget that it's one of our founding documents, but it's right there in a building that they're driving by, and they continue to erode our rights of the First Amendment. I mean, just today, everyone who's listening and probably follows President Trump to some degree, he's banned off of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They're shutting him down. He's still the president of the United States. We are under many forms of tyranny right now. That's just one example.
Absolutely. And, one of the things, and I know we've talked about it, but as my audience knows, I grew up in a very small rural town. And as I've told you, I never thought about the Second Amendment because guns were just a part of life. So it wasn't like, we just didn't think about it. I remember having a hunting class, safety class we had to take, and I believe the NRA actually put it on. I think I was about 15 at the time. And all of us guys were looking around going like, what the heck are we even doing here? But we had to do it to get a hunting license. And so I say that to say this, that one of the things that has surprised me as I've been involved with you guys and been around a lot more people that are passionate about guns and their weaponry and all, is how little, quite often, people who are very pro-Second Amendment don't really pay that much attention to politics. And I'm telling you, you better, or you're going to lose it. And if you don't believe it, just know what's coming down the line. But could you address that a little bit?
Well, let me just share first, to that point, it's actually different because for me, I had started paying attention to politics and I had really no idea what was going on with the Second Amendment. And I don't think it even came into my awareness because I had never even shot a gun. But then Sandy Hook, the school shooting happened December 14th of 2012. And all I started to hear, and I was brand new to paying attention to politics, was a certain group of people wanted to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. And they were saying that we shouldn't even have guns, etc. And that really concerned me because I grew up in a generation where I really understood the Bill of Rights. We learned it in school back then. So I went running to my husband, Tony, who was in our garage where we were running our business. And I said, oh my gosh, Tony, these Democrats are talking about taking our guns away. And I've never even shot a gun. We have to get a concealed weapons permit. We have to be able to defend ourselves. So 2 weeks later, we went out and did that. And shortly thereafter, we bought a bunch of guns. We didn't really know that much about it. But then we started to get educated and take some classes and realize, we want to protect and defend ourselves, but it's actually pretty fun too. And lots of people that, haven't shot a gun, once they get an opportunity to, they find out that it's fun and it's a hobby and it's something you can go to a range and have a good time with. So, we believe in guns for our safety, our security, protection of those that we love and the things that we want to defend. But it's also a right that we have, and we can also use it as a hobby. And that's what you guys were doing out there. Not everybody is hunting with it. In fact, I doubt that I'm ever going to be a hunter. However, I will never shy away from defending our right to defend ourselves. And that's what really spurred Tony and I into starting our first gun adventure, which was Big Daddy Guns. It's our local gun shop. And that has led to his next bright idea. He's got a lot of ideas. He is a consummate entrepreneur. So we started Big Daddy Unlimited. I'll let him tell you more about that. And then we just opened up our second shop location in Ocala, Florida. So this thing that started out with me was somebody infringing on a right that I had not even personally used, but enjoyed knowing that I had it. And therefore, I wanted to defend it.
Well, I can tell you this about Sherry. If she gets passionate about something, look out, because I think she bought one chicken one time, and now their place looks like Noah's Ark. So, she gets passionate about something, she's ready to go. Well, let's talk a little bit about your experience in D.C. I think you already covered kind of what your motivation was in going up there, but we all know what ultimately happened, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but what did you hope would happen when you went to DC? What were you hoping to experience?
Well, I was hoping to experience, I was hoping that, our congresspeople and senators would be able to see the massive amounts of fraud that has been taking shape during this election process, stuff that is so visible, so blatant. It's shocking that it's actually happening and they're getting away with it. It's shocking to me that people will actually go in front of a camera and say, there's no evidence of fraud. Are they not watching social media? Are they not listening to experts, the same experts that they pay big money to go to companies to work on their computers and do smart things that I have no knowledge of, but this man Pulitzer and others like him that are clearly saying this stuff is rigged. It's not right. So with that, I was hoping that maybe our leadership would see that also, and they would object to the abuses that have been put upon the American people. That's how I see it. If we cannot go into a voting booth and trust that we pulled the trigger on something, no pun intended, and that is what gets recorded, then we really don't have it in America. And when I listen to certain politicians that are saying, oh, we're just going to certify it, and we just all need to move on. Sure. That's great if you don't mind having an election in a country taken from you because of, rigged voting machines and ballot boxes coming out of trucks and ballots coming out of suitcases going through 2 and 3 times. I was hoping we would show up and get some truth. And that's why I went. But I also went to support my country because I feel that I'm a patriot and I love this country and I would fight for it and defend it. And, we all got to get in where we fit in. And I'm not a soldier. I'm not in the military. I'm not a veteran. So this was something that I believed I could do.
Well, one of the things I've been saying on my show, and I was talking to a good friend of mine about this earlier, late yesterday, actually. And I told him, I said, I believe that to me, the cornerstone, there's cheating. We know that. And I'm not trying to downplay any of that. But what really got me was the Texas case, where you had the Supreme Court not see the evidence when you had like 20 other states join in with them. And I think that's what's really frustrating, to at least to people like me, because if the Supreme Court had taken up the case and actually looked at the evidence and came out and said, look, there's just not enough here to overturn the election.
Right.
I wouldn't have liked it, but I think I could grudgingly have accepted it. But to not actually look at the evidence, to not do anything, to basically say we're not going to do our duty is very frustrating. And I'm not, like I said on yesterday's show, I'm not condoning any violence at all. Right. But I understand that our country was founded in a violent act. And it was because those that were in the know realized that they could not get their grievances addressed.
Correct.
And they felt like they had no other choice. So I'm not condoning the violence. I understand the frustration. And I really believe that, that what was the latest survey, as I talked about yesterday, 83% of Republicans say that they think there's fraud. 30% of independents saying that, and even millions of Democrats think there's fraud. So, Tony, I wonder what you think about the idea that if we'd have had some cases actually had evidence that people might have grudgingly accepted this, but it's very difficult now under circumstances.
I would 100% agree with you that if it had gone to the Supreme Court and you had another branch of government in the balance of power say, hey, you know what, we took an honest look at this, and as John said, agree with it or not, begrudgingly agree with it, I think a lot more people would have accepted. I think part of the problem is the way that all of this has been handled, and a lot of it stems from the power and the influence that now the mainstream media, and also especially the social media companies out there have in influencing thought and information. And I think part of the problem is that there's so much influence on it that the narrative is steered in a direction that the average person doesn't get to see. And I think for those 75 million of us out there that voted for President Trump, a fair percentage of those people feel like, hey, we were totally disenfranchised. And so I would agree with you wholeheartedly that had you had the Supreme Court step in and say, look, we looked at it, we balanced the evidence, and here's what we find, I think people would have accepted it instead of basically it just getting brushed away.
I hear you. Well, you guys, I know for a fact, because I've been to a couple of weeks, this wasn't your first Trump event. Yeah. And they've been strong Trump supporters for a long time. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about, first of all, kind of how did this compare to any other events you've been to? We're going to play a video here in just a moment, a short 1-minute video of some of the things they saw. But how did this compare to other events that you've been to with Donald Trump?
I would say for me, I've never seen that many people in one place at one time. We had the privilege of going to the inauguration in 2016, and I can flat guarantee you there were more people there yesterday than there were at the inauguration. Yeah. And I'll say this too, from a personal perspective, the thing that fascinated me the most is I would guess there was at least a couple million people there, and how polite everybody was in essentially basically a big mosh pit. Everybody was really polite, even though we were all jammed together. We didn't know each other. It was the nicest, politest crowd. And you're talking people, we were standing around for hours jammed up, and nobody cursing, swearing, drinking, carrying on. Just everybody just, waiting to hear what everybody had to say in terms of the speakers and then ultimately from the president. And so from that aspect, it was an amazing thing to watch. And also to understand that all these people showed up voluntarily. Somebody said, hey, we're having a meeting at 11 o'clock, and people came from all over the country just to support the president. And for what you said and what we saw, that First Amendment mural that's on, we should have got the name of the building that it's on. It's about 5 stories high, but one of the lines in the First Amendment is about our right to redress our grievances with our government. And that's basically what all these people showed up for yesterday, is that we felt like, hey, our voices weren't heard. This was taken away because there was so much fraud and so much, as they say, cheating. And this was a way to redress the grievances and show up and say, hey, listen, here's all of us. We're the common people. We're the people that put you people in office. You need to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, the thing that gets me when I was watching some of the coverage of it, and I talked about this yesterday, there was one phrase that I never heard mentioned one time, and that was that it was mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, every time you looked around when the cities were burned across the country, literally CNN had a guy standing there a few months ago with fire, looked like just raging in the background. It's a mostly peaceful protest. And you mentioned the First Amendment, and I talked about this yesterday, that Chris Cuomo came out a few months ago and said, from CNN said, where does it say that protests have to be peaceful? It says it in the dadgum First Amendment. You have the right to peaceful assembly. So, as I tell you, there is no double standard. There's one standard for people like us and Donald Trump, and there's no standard for the left. But do you want to add
really
to that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It was amazing to be around all these people. Like Tony said, when we were actually marching, we were standing for a lot of period of time in various locations, for people to speak, etc. But when we were actually doing the march to the Capitol, Tony just looked at me and said, this is the most polite mob ever assembled in history. Because it's like 1 million or more people that are all walking. Nobody's in a bad mood. I'm telling you, my assistant Sally was with me. She's very tiny. I'm not as tiny as her, but I'm telling you, we were working our way through the crowds and having to twist and contort in every possible fashion to get through the crowd. and people would say, "Oh, go ahead." You know, they would make room for you. It was really amazing. But I love to get together when you're in a sea of American flags that you can actually recognize. We've been to many rallies, not Trump rallies, but other political rallies where we were there to support our elected leader when I had to go home and Google the types of flags that I saw. But yesterday, what I saw was amazing Trump flags everywhere, American flags. I saw people wearing Minutemen hats and playing the drums. There was patriotic music, people singing, you know, with microphones, their own patriotic music. I go to these things also to reconnect with my American roots because so much of it is being taken away from us. You know, from the time we wake up in the morning till the time we go to bed at night, we can't think and feel the way we always did. We can't just be Americans. We can't salute a flag without getting trashed or having the words, you know, micromanaged. So
well, now you can't even say mother, father.
No,
brother,
you can't
sister,
even say that. So, I mean, there's no freedom.
It's just crazy. Well, we got about a 1 minute video here. I got to give credit to my producer, Gabe, who went along with you guys. He's kind of encapsulated, I think, the spirit of what was happening in the morning before the bedlam that happened at the Capitol. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's check out this video of what was actually happening, because you won't see this type of stuff on CNN, even Fox. They just want to show the violence that was there. They don't want to show the millions of people that were basically there to do exactly what the McKnights have so greatly expressed that they were there for. Let's check it out. Statues coming down. I didn't see anybody spray painting anything.
Nope.
The one thing I heard that was missing up there was, and I told Sherry that before she went up there, that I heard that the mayor of D.C. was going to make it hard on Trump people. And I remember talking to you yesterday briefly, and you said there's no porta potties anywhere. And apparently they were going to take them out. So I got this picture I want to show of my wife. We went to the inauguration, and I just thought you might get a kick out of it, maybe a bit potty envious there. That is Charlene standing. There must have been 100 of them there. She said, I've never seen that many in my life. So only my wife and everything that happens in D.C. would want to get a picture of herself in front of a portalette. But it sounded like you would have liked that.
No,
too.
there was plenty of those. In fact, we found ourselves gripped in a crowd right in front of them. And I said, this is not the best place to be. But there was really super long lines.
Don't
but
want to
believe
be
me,
downwind.
when
Right?
there, yes, you don't. But with the massive amounts of people that were there, yeah, I was just, praying that I could find a bathroom. And that bathroom, my need for that bathroom is actually what, veered us off to the left.
Off
if
the
you
left
want. Yes.
instead of getting in the mall. Well,
Yeah.
let's get into that because, did you see, like when I was up there for the inauguration, I was walking to the inauguration and I didn't realize that I ended up standing right next to this dude that was one of the Antifa head. I didn't even know what Antifa was, but they burned up the bank there and a limo and everything right after apparently I passed through there because when I saw the news footage the next day, I said, heck, I was standing right next to that dude. So, and I didn't realize what was really happening. Did you see any signs that there might be trouble brewing in any of this? Did you see any of that? Because
No.
I didn't get the impression of that. People are saying that they believe that Antifa. Now, I'm not absolving Trump supporters. I'm sure there were some Trump supporters in that mob because mob hysteria has its own kind of psyche. But I firmly believe that there were people that went there to agitate. And as I said on yesterday's show, that if you look at it, Donald Trump, he's accused of being totally self-centered and that all he ever does is for the benefit of himself and his family. And I asked the question yesterday, what about what happened in the evening in the Capitol benefited Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form? So I don't believe he had anything to do with it. I don't think he has any incitement of it. And of course, now you see that after the voting last night, that Republicans are like, flying away and trying to hide themselves. But so you didn't see any indication that there might be some trouble brewing?
No, not at all. In fact, even on the march to the Capitol, there was nothing. It was just the same stuff. Supportive people, pro-America, flags, happy, just people showing up to support their president. That's all it was. And so I just want to be clear that since we've got 24 hours in between all of this, plenty of evidence has come forth. And you could, like, the minute they showed the guy with the horns and the bare chest and the crazy looking clothes, that's not a Trumper. We don't look like that. We don't act like that. Why would we go there as Trump supporters and do something that would devastate our goal, not to mention the president that we support?
Well, I know it's kind of circumstantial evidence, but to me it's evidence nonetheless. Like I say, I've been to tons of Trump events. There was this one scene, I don't know if you've seen it, where they're kind of bum rushing this side door to the Capitol, and there's like a platform there, a raised staircase, and all these Capitol police officers standing off in the distance, and all these young supposed Trump supporters stop, turn around, and give them the double finger. I have never seen anyone wearing MAGA gear, especially young people, that ever showed any disrespect to police officers. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but when I saw that, I said, these are not the Trump supporters that I've been around. So let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday in the Capitol. One thing about it, everybody on the right, if you want to label people right and left, has come out that I've heard and said they condemn the violence 100%. Now, we go back to when the violence was happening in other parts of the country, the left excused it, even said, like I said, Cuomo a minute ago, how, that who said you got to be peaceful. But to me, I've been saying for the past week that this would be, the vote on January 6th would be a defining moment, not only for the country, but the GOP. But I actually think this breach, if whatever you want to call it, took some of them off the hook and is defocused on what I was hoping would happen. I didn't think that Donald Trump was going to win this argument. I really didn't, based on everything. I thought his best chance was that Supreme Court case we talked about. But to me, I wanted to, as I say, Santa Claus, make a list and check it twice. But and I think that's still what we need to do. But it seems like it let them off the hook. So you mentioned Sherry and Tony, I'd like to hear from you on this. Now that you've had 24, 48 hours after the fact, what do you think about what ultimately happened with the voting in the Capitol itself? Not the riot itself, but what they actually did.
Do you mean after all of this?
Yeah, the outcome that basically now President Trump has come out in a statement and said there will be a peaceful transition. As I said yesterday, I hate to say it, but it appears that Joe Biden is going to be the 46th president of the United States. I mean, I got to say it like it is. So what do you think about the politics, I guess, of the GOP in not really standing up for President Trump? In a sense, it seems like they're using what happened in the Capitol Dome as an excuse to run away from Trump right now.
Well, I would just say very quickly that I'm not so sure about everything. And yes, I've read his statement, and there's some key things that I haven't seen happen in those tweets, so we'll just let that slide for now. But I think what happened after the situation where people were bailing on him left and right is so typical. It's tragically typical. It's pathetic, in my opinion. There's a saying that we've all heard: if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And everybody was hedging their bets last night, and they're like Lindsey Graham said, "Oh, I'm out." So think of what Trump has had to do and overcome during this presidency, and how many people has he actually had to work with that have a spine like him and have the courage to do the unpopular things to get the right things done. So them dropping like flies last night wasn't unexpected for me.
Well, one of the things, and maybe you can answer this or tell me your opinion on this, Tony. I said on yesterday's show that, hey, don't worry about the GOP establishment because they know how to be the minority party, because they actually want to be the minority party, because then they don't have to do anything. They can just talk about what might happen and all that. And that's where I see them already moving to with what happened in Georgia. The swamp is filling up. Mitch McConnell, you mentioned Lindsey Graham. Those people just basically are pigs at the trough, is how I'm just telling you how I see it.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be quite content to be the minority party where they can yak and talk and maybe raise money, but not actually do a dadgum thing.
Because they'll still have power, and power is the goal.
So, that's kind of how I see it. And one of the things that I think they're going to use this, and you already are seeing it, they are trying to destroy President Trump's legacy. That's what they're trying to do, because I've been saying this for a couple of years now. And I think the McKnights fit this bill 100%. There is one person, in this case too, but there is one person in this country that the establishment Republicans, the never Trumpers, the mainstream media, the progressive leftists, there is one person they hate and fear more than Donald Trump. And you know who that is? It's people like you and our audience, and people like the McKnights right here. They want to break you they want to shame you, make it where it's struggle for your business, with your family, your relationships, everything. They want to punish you for being a Donald Trump supporter. Do you think it's going to work on people like you?
No.
There's a complex answer right there. And well, I tell you, I got this meme. I haven't shown it in a while. Gabe can put it up there. It is difficult. It has always been, to a certain extent, difficult to be a Trump supporter. I don't know if he's got it there. It's a cat meme, so you got to have it. But there are knives out everywhere if you are a Trump supporter. And I just want to warn you right now that if you continue to support the president, it's going to take courage. And one of the things that I've stolen this, actually, I've been saying it for a few weeks now, but I basically have to admit that I stole this to a certain extent from Sherry. And I've told people that what we've got to do is we've got to educate people and educate ourselves so we can educate others. We got to motivate ourselves. We got to activate ourselves and others. And if necessary, we're going to have to eliminate these politicians. And what I mean by that is just vote them out. Every Republican that did not support Donald Trump needs to be primaried and voted out of office in 2022, 2024, the next time you get a chance. That's what I see.
Especially those who gave their word, who let Donald Trump go and work his tail off for them, Kelly Loeffler and others like her, that folded like cheap tents the minute the going got rough. And, that's just a disgrace to me. If you give your word on something, you keep your word on something. That's what you do.
Yeah, well, Washington is trying to get back to the swamp as quickly as they can. Let me ask you, what do you think, if you had to predict, and I know this is pretty tough, assuming that Biden, and I don't like to say God help us, becomes president, what do you think Donald Trump will ultimately do? What do you think he'd do? Because I've been saying he has every right to ride off into the sunset and enjoy his life and his family, his grandkids. I don't think he's going to do that. But what would you think that Donald Trump, what do you think he's going to do? You got any idea?
I think he's going to continue to do everything that he's already started doing, which is awaken the true citizens of the republic and to educate people that this is a representative republic and it's government for the people, by the people. And part of the problem and the reason Donald Trump was so vilified is he came out of nowhere. For all intents and purposes, he's a billionaire, but basically a common man who got elected into that swamp and basically turned over the tables and said this all has to change. And that's why it's not just Democrat and Republican, it's the party of big government against us, we the people. That's what you see with Trump, and it's personified in him. So it's this one person they can attack. But basically, what they're going to do is they're going to try to make an example of him to say, hey, you're not allowed to go in there and mess with everything, sweetie. We know how to take care of you. And I think what we've gotten is an opportunity to have those people exposed, the ones who are truly about the republic. And there's probably one or two on the left, but there's a few left on the right. And there's other people out there who really care about the country and the principles the country was founded on. They care about the Constitution. They care about America at its core. The problem is people get, as we say, the people in government, they think they know better. And that's the old saying, it's power corrupts. And these people go and they get a little bit of power. And President Trump said it the other day. They're concerned more about their little
special interest
groups, their little group of personal power, their own personal interests. They're more worried about that than they are to do what they were sent up there to do, which is represent us in our districts. And I think what you're going to see is Trump's going to continue. He's going to pick up that torch. And like you said, hey, we know the ones that stood up for the republic. Yeah, some of them also happen to stand for President Trump, but we really were looking at who are the people that really stood for the principles of the Constitution and the republic and said, you know what, like it or not how this went, this is not the way it's supposed to be, and we're going to stand on principle. It's all those other ones who folded like cheap suits. They're the ones that don't deserve to have your vote, because if they'll fold on this, like Sherry said, you know what, they're going to fold on the next tough decision. And the truth is, government has been the same for 100 years. Democrat or Republican, I can guarantee you one thing, government continues to get bigger. Doesn't matter who's occupying the chairs. You know, it changes from D to R and they move things around a little bit here, a little bit there. But at the end of the day, it's the people in government versus us, we the people. And they want to keep it that way.
Absolutely. Well, I've played on the air quite a few times our good friend Ted Yoho's Pigs at the Trough commercial. Yeah. And if you have not seen that, search it out. Pigs in the Trough, Ted Yoho. It's one of the greatest political commercials. I actually have a picture and I wanted to show. And this is a few moons ago. Me and Ted, when I'd won my primary, I ultimately lost for county commission. He ultimately won a primary and went on. But that's kind of when you and we all first really started getting together. So I thought you might get a kick out of seeing that. Well, we got a few minutes left, and I want to talk a little bit about, I'll let you talk actually, about Big Daddy Unlimited, where you think you're going with it, where you hope to go with it. Sherry, you mentioned about the shutdowns, and we're so blessed to live in Florida, and I know you guys have a relationship with the greatest governor, I think, in the country right now, in Ron DeSantis. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys right now. Just kind of tell us about business, what you think is happening with shutdowns, all that kind of stuff, what where your vision is, and just have at it. Go ahead.
Well, let me just say this. Speaking of our great governor, Ron DeSantis, leave Florida and go to another state, and you'll be so thankful for the ground we are walking on in the state of Florida, let me tell you. Because in D.C., man, it's crazy. And also, people don't, if we have to wear the masks or people believe they got to wear the mask or however you want to view that. It doesn't mean that we get licensed to be rude. People don't say hi to you anymore. You walk into an establishment, it's like, put your mask on. Do you have a mask? Where's your mask? We dealt with that in the nicest hotel in DC. They just stop you there at the door. Where's your mask? No hello. Welcome to our establishment. It wasn't until we left last night and went to Virginia to a Holiday Inn where we got the best service and the nicest waiter that actually treated us like we were still citizens of the United States of America. Go ahead. What was the question?
Talk about Big Daddy Unlimited. And I know you got a lot of big plans, but talk about some of that. First of all, I'm really grateful to have your support and to be able to be here every day. Grateful for your friendship, most of all.
We're happy to do it and happy to have you.
But talk a little bit about Big Daddy Unlimited, what you're doing now, and and what your vision is and all those, whatever which way you want to go with it.
Well, so Sherry and I, we launched Big Daddy Unlimited in, like I said, March of 2018. We'd gotten into the firearms business back in 2012, 13, right around the time that we got awakened into politics. And part of our awakening, her first and then me, was that once we got into the firearms business, we knew right away, wow, you're automatically in politics, because people either like guns or they don't understand guns and think you shouldn't have them. And so immediately we realized, if we're going to be in this, we're going to have to kind of stand up for certain principles. But when we first got into the firearms business, we got into it as being novices, same as politics. Politics was sort of a hobby that then we got deeper and deeper into. Same with guns, but we realized we wanted people to have the opportunity to own guns, gear, ammo, and more at a price that they could live with. And basically, Big Daddy Unlimited is the next iteration of what we did when we first got into the firearms business. And it's access to hundreds of thousands of what we call shot-related, the shooting, hunting, and outdoor trades-related items at a price you can live with. And what we do is we have a membership model where basically it's like any other buying club. But what we do is it's a little bit different, because, like I tell Sherry, it's a concierge buying service. Because what we do is we have a whole bunch of live customer service agents who help you find what you're looking for at a price you can live with. Sometimes it's the lowest price, sometimes it's close to the lowest price. But the idea is it's always something that you say, oh, that's a really good deal. And a perfect example right now is that, hey, a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are running around not wondering what's going to happen with their personal security. So we've had a huge uptick in new gun ownership. Yeah. But with that uptick in gun ownership has been an uptick in ammunition consumption. And so a lot of our, I don't want to say let's say competitors in this industry have decided to take advantage of that shortage of ammunition and raise their prices accordingly. We have not. And so that's one of the things that endears us to our members as we go forward, is that we're not there to take advantage of the people. We really are there to say, hey, if you're passionate about firearm shooting, hunting, and outdoor stuff like we are, then we want to continue to provide you access to those goods and services at a price you can live with. And part of what we're doing is we're always looking for more ways that we can give value back to our members. And one of those is something that's about to be finalized here, and it's a partnership between Big Daddy Unlimited and a company called Recoil Magazine, and also their brand Recoil TV. And basically what we're doing is we're providing a conservative platform for video choice. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that have tried this in the past and they haven't been successful because they haven't had a way to monetize it. And we believe we have a way to put this together, and it's a great platform for quality content that's available on all your set-top boxes plus all your mobile devices. And it'll be announced fully, I believe, in, what's today? Probably 3 weeks. At the end of this month, we'll have a big press release about it, and we'll really start to push it out there. And actually, John Martin is one of our guinea pigs in launching Recoil TV in the partnership with Big Daddy Unlimited. But there's a lot of different things coming in that genre, and also with our platform as we grow forward in terms of value for our members. Because we're all about, hey, we want to give you more than what you're expecting for the price that you're paying in order to have access to other goods and services at a price you can live with.
And I think what sets us apart from all other companies in the firearms industry is our amazing sales and service teams. Because when I'm telling you, if you're out there in mask land and you can't get somebody to smile at you or be nice to you, you can call Big Daddy Unlimited. And even if you can't find what you're looking for on the site, call in and speak to somebody in our customer service, or if you want a specific firearm or something like that, you can go to our sales team. But we have real people, and people are so excited to pick up the phone, call, and have someone answer and help them get what they want at that price they can live with. So we do have a trial membership for 99 cents. So you just get in the door with your 99 cents, come in and check us out. It's not that we have a low price guarantee, But you're going to find probably the very best deals that you can find on Big Daddy Unlimited. But again, being able to have somebody at the ready on the other end of the phone call to help you find that thing that you're looking for that you couldn't find anywhere else, or solve an issue with your account or with your order, whatever it may be, we have those people. And I think that with our, our new little hashtag that we've created in customer sales and service is hashtag members first. And that's how we feel about you. Members first. So all of our decisions should be filtered through that comment, members first. So if you are in the market for some guns, gear, and ammo, or you want to support patriots like us, because we're out here, just trying to make it happen for all of those who support the Second Amendment, it's important. And we're here and we're putting this platform together so that we can also help monetize those who have been demonetized. Voices are being lost all over social media. Soon, it's just going to be that vacuum of where only the liberals will allow the liberals to talk and the progressives. So where are you going to go? Where are you going to get your message across? This is going to help us do that.
And just to tell you how crazy it's getting, I didn't tell you this story, but I had a bank teller mask shame me the other day, asked me where my mask was, and oh, by the way, I was at a drive-thru.
Oh.
I was in my car and she was behind about 3 inches of glass. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it and share it with others. I guarantee you, if you're thinking that people like patriots like the McKnights and John Martin Talks are going away, we're not. We're going to double down. So I hope you have a great weekend. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this nation and our president. They both deserve it. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.
Bye.